بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Yesterday we started the eighth chapter of the introduction to the Arabic language. We just completed the lesson, right? I mean the text. So we're going to continue there, inshallah. Any questions on the book? Start revising.
So you know how it says,
Ah.
Allahumma na'udhu bika min fitni an-nar. Why isn't there any alif and lam before fitna?
You got to revise that. You got to tell me why. Huh? You got to tell me why.
Why isn't there no alif lam before fitna?
Why should it be alif and lam?
Because it's the trial, not trial.
What's the entire statement?
The entire statement is I see
The trial of what?
the fire.
So that construction is what kind of construction? Good. So now you have the construction in English. You translate that to Arabic. You have to use Arabic rulings. What's the rulings of the mudaf wal mudaf ilay in Arabic?
The subject gets
There's no subject.
gets the majrur state.
The first word in the mudaf wal mudaf ilay never takes alif and lam. The second word can take alif and lam. Right? The first word don't take. The second word can take alif and lam. But the main thing, the first word, there is no alif and lam, there is no tanween. Let's go through the vocabularies. Adab, punishment, that's clear, right? Isti'adha, al-isti'adha, right? What's al-isti'adha or al-isti'adha?
Saying just 2 minutes.
Hmm?
Wouldn't it be a verb?
Hmm?
Wouldn't it be a verb?
No, it's not a verb.
This is the name of.
It's a noun.
Is,
It's the verbal noun.
okay.
Meaning, it's representing the action of the verb. Wa alaikum salam. Right? Al-isti'adha is the act of seeking refuge. It's a noun. So saying a'udhu billah or a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim can be referred to al-isti'adha. So if someone was to say al-isti'adhatu bil jinni haram. Al-isti'adha bil jinni haram. Clear?
Seeking refuge with jinns is haram.
Hmm?
Isn't it seeking refuge with jinns?
Seeking refuge with jinn is haram. So the word by itself means seeking refuge.
What would that statement mean?
Now if you say it is sunnah al-isti'adhatu qabla قراءة القرآن سنة الاستعاذة قبل قراءة القرآن سنة. What's it going to mean?
Saying have the
Right there is going to be specifically seeking refuge. What's how? Meaning seeking refuge in Allah from the shaitan is sunnah before recitation of the Quran. Right? Fitna, we said, is trial, test, and also it can mean punishment, right? It can also mean punishment, but generally it refers to a trial, or it refers to a test, right? Being in a state where you are trialed or tempted or tested with something. Fitan, the plural for fitna. Allahumma, O Allah, kama, right, as for comparison, comparing actions. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to teach them this dua as he would teach them a dua from the Quran, a surah from the Quran, right? Kama. A'udhu, I seek refuge. Bi is in or with you. Faqr, poverty, richness or sufficiency is ghinan. Masih is Messiah. Ad-Dajjal, impostor, liar. Mamat, death. Mahya. Mahya here is not creation, life, right? This is a mistranslation there. Mahya is what? Life. Mahya is life. But what is referring to specifically is the period that you're alive. Right? Is the period that you're alive. And Mamat, same thing. The period that you are dead, or the time of death.
Life in the barzakh?
Yeah, Mamat is going to cover the life in the barzakh, and you're going to cover the point just before you, when you're departing this dunya. That is Mamat also. Right? And Mahya is the period of that you're alive. That's different than the other word for life. What is the other word for life? Hayat. Hayat referring to life itself. So you're going to say you have life in you. But you're not going to say you have mahya in you. Clear? Mahya is the period, the time in which you have haya. You understand? So when it says seek refuge from the fitna of life, meaning the fitna of the period that you're going to be alive, meaning the period that you're in this dunya.
So, would it be incorrect to translate like Mahya as alive instead of life?
It's not going to be correct to say Mahya means alive. Right? It's say life. Alive going to be Hayy. Huwa Hayy. He is alive. Right? Huwa Hayy. Understand the difference between Mahya and Hayat. Hayat is life, as in the essence, the masdar of living, right? You have hayat within you. And mahya is the period that you are alive. Same thing with mamat. Now death itself is what? You are afflicted, someone is afflicted with death. Maut, right? Maut. And mamat is more the period of being dead, or the point of when the soul is leaving the body, right? That's generally the difference. Now, don't worry about that, so you don't get confusing. Allama Allama is, what is this mix? Allama is he taught, right? Allama, change here, he taught. He taught. Imposter. Inni, we mentioned, is inna and ana. Right? You can say inni or you can say inna ni. Inni and inna ni. And both is used in the Quran. Right? Like in Surah Taha, when in the beginning, inni ana Allahu fakhla'na alayk. Right? Innani, no, sorry. Inni ana rabbuka fakhla'na alayk. And the second one, innani ana Allahu fa'budni wa aqimis salata li dhikri. So allama is he taught, yu'allimu, he teaches or he is teaching. Right? Madrasa, a school. Hadid is iron. Hadid is iron. That's extra vocabs. Demonstrative pronouns. Now this is the concept that we're going to study mainly in this chapter. Then we have a review of the mudaf wal mudaf ilay construction, some additional information concerning the al mudaf wal mudaf ilay construction. Demonstrative pronouns. In Arabic, demonstrative pronouns point out or identify things, right? Same thing as in English. You know, when you're demonstrating something, right? If you want to demonstrate something on the board, this, that, right? Here, that is you're demonstrating. That is what is meant by demonstrating. Now, when you're demonstrating, you got to point. Right? You point into this, you point into that, you point into those. That's what is meant by demonstrative pronouns. And this is, you have in Arabic, the demonstrative pronouns also have numbers and genders. And these are not all of them. These are the main ones. But if you understand these, and you understand the basic concept that we're going to study with these demonstrative pronouns, you apply it to all the others when you come across them, right? So we have hadha and hadihi. These are the two most frequently used demonstrative pronouns. This are for masculine, hadha, and this for feminine, hadihi, right? Hadha walad, this is a boy. Hadihi bint, this is a girl, right? And as I said, it goes for both gender and numbers. Now, if you point into two person, right, or two things, you say hadhan, right? These two, right? Hadhani, talibani. These two are students, right? Hadhani, talibani. These two are students. Hadhani mudarrisani. These two are teachers, right? You got to match. Hadhani mudarrisani, right? These two are two teachers. These two are two students. We're gonna deal with the dual form, how to form it more specifically. But I think everyone pick it up already, right? In the Quran, inna hadhani, in hadhani lasahirani. In hadhani, these two, la sahirani. Sahiran means two magicians. What is the meaning of la? Remember? Huh? No, la is negation. Wallah. In hadhani la sahirani. Emphasis. When we did the different form of emphasis, inna, anna, la, right? Not la, negation. Now in the Quran, there is a lot of la and there is a lot of la, right? There is a lot of la and there is a lot of la. So now make sure if you mix them up, you flip the whole meaning. Because you can change an emphasis into a negation or a negation into an emphasis, right? So, in hadani la sahirani, right? Verily, these two are two magicians, referring to Musa and Harun, right? Fir'aun is claiming, and his people claiming that Musa and Harun are two magicians, right? Haulai, these, right? Haulai tullab, these are students. Haulai muslimun, sorry. These are Muslims. Dhalika is that, right? Dhalika al-kitab, that book, there is no doubt. La rayba fi. Ulaik is those, that's the plural, right? Ulaik tullab, those are students. So Hada is this, something close. Dhalika is that, you're pointing something far. Haulai, these, they are close to you. Ulaik, those, right? Ulaika alladhina khasiru anfusahum, right? Ulaika alladhina habitat a'maluhum. Those are the ones who they lost themselves. Those are the ones who their actions are nullified. Yeah, that.
Looking at the translation in Baqarah, it says this.
Yeah, well, that is like in Surah Dhalik al-Kitab, most of the translations say in this book. But it's not the accurate translation for the Arabic, right? But they have, why is it the word that is used instead of this, right? That's the discussion. Okay, one of the explanation is when you're reading at the time when Surah Baqarah was revealed, that verse was revealed, the entire Quran was not compiled in a book form, 100%. Remember, the Quran is still being revealed, right? So where is it as a full book? In a Lawh al-Mahfuz. So using the far pronoun, that book, referring to the Quran in its full form is in the Lawh al-Mahfuz. There is no doubt in it. That is one of the explanations. Some of the explanation is that in this context, that means this, but it's used as a form of magnification, to show greatness, like how we use we instead of I and like that. So that's most of the translation use that interpretation. Yeah. So these are the feminine, these are the masculine words, and then you have the feminine, hadhihi, this, hatani, these two, hadani, these two for two masculine, hatani, these two for two feminine, ulai, haulai, same for these, masculine and feminine, same thing, right? Then you have tilka, dhalika tilka, and ulaik, the masculine. So you see the plural. So the plural for the masculine and the plural for the feminine, they are the same. Right? Need some coffee, Abdullah? Sure? You just drink coffee? Try some, make your life easy. Serious. If only I was introduced to coffee during high school would have been so easy. Huh? Huh? You can get banned from asking questions during class. When these pronouns are used with a definite noun, now this part here is clear, right? You just got to memorize the meaning. Memorize the words with the meaning and get accustomed to it. Now the application, when these pronouns are used with a definite noun, meaning those with al, they can carry two possible indications or translations, right? Indications or translations. If the English, you gotta put a S there. For instance, هذا الولد. So we have a demonstrative pronoun هذا, and we have al-walad used with a definite noun, meaning with al, right? هذا الولد. This, and the al-walad is the boy. Can translate to this is the boy or this boy is. Right? This is the boy or this boy is. Remember we mentioned in the beginning, Arabic is an economical language, right? One statement can mean more than one thing a lot of time, and the context is what we're going to determine. Like in Arabic, there's not a difference between he eats and he is eating, right? There's no difference, right? The context is going to determine how you translate it. So similar here, هذا الولد, this is the boy, and this boy is. Now that's for English. In English, our mind, that to statement is a little different. But remember this to doesn't exist really in Arabic, right? For an Arabic speaker, he don't have this issue to figure out the context, because هذا الولد is هذا الولد. Whether it's this boy or this is the boy is هذا الولد. He's going to understand it slightly differently, yes, when you say this boy and this is the boy. But he don't have to figure out too much with regards to how we got to figure it out. Is it this boy or is this is the boy? But there is a difference in the general meaning, even in Arabic. No, there is no is. You got, we covered in the review for some. So if we have here هذا الولد مجتهد. This boy is diligent, right? مجتهد, hardworking, diligent. Now how we know is this boy is diligent? Because if you say this is the boy diligent, right, the meaning is not appropriate. The translation not appropriate. But this boy is diligent, there the sentence is appropriate. The sentence is complete and makes sense, right, in its grammar and its meaning. Right, this boy is مجتهد. هذا الولد مجتهد. Now, هذا الولد المجتهد. Now we have an issue here. Right? Here where it can be tricky. هذا الولد المجتهد. Now هذا means this. Al-walad is the boy. Al-mujtahid is diligent. Now, al-walad al-mujtahid, remember, is an adjective. Right? Everything is matching up here. Right? So, this part of the phrase, al-walad al-mujtahid, means diligent boy. You understand? So now here is going to mean this is the diligent boy. And not this boy is the diligent. Now, is it possible to mean this boy is the diligent? It's possible within a certain context, right? Like if somebody come in and asks, who is the diligent? Right? Then you say, هذا الولد المجتهد. It's going to mean in that context, this boy is the diligent. Right? Yeah, like the hard. This boy is the hard-working boy. Now, هذا الولد المجتهد من مكة. Right? Same thing here now. Look, here we can say, remember هذا الولد can mean this boy, it can mean this is the boy. Right? Now, we have here min Makkah, from Makkah. So, هذا الولد المجتهد, you're saying, and then you have the mujtahid came as an adjective. This diligent boy is from Makkah. If you translate it as this first one, this is the boy, or sorry, this boy is the diligent from Makkah, the meaning is not appropriate, right? look confused. We're going to go over it again, couple of time, with a lot of examples. The bottom line is, when you see hada used with alif and lam, it can carry two meaning. This, wherever the thing is, without is, this boy, this car, this house, right? Not this is the house, not this is a house. This is a house is clear, right? Hada bait, no alif and lam. We're talking with alif and lam. So it can mean this boy, this house, or this is the boy, this is the house. Now you have to look at the rest of the sentence. The relationship with that statement, with the noun, with regards to the rest of the statement, with regards to the rest of the sentence. Like for example here, this last example, هذا الولد المجتهد من مكة, right? Here we have a descriptive word matching everything. So more likely it's an adjective. And what is that is an adjective? It's serving the purpose of an adjective. Is the rest of the sentence. You're saying this diligent boy, this hard working boy is from Makkah. That's the only meaning that's synchronized with the sentence. Now placing a personal pronoun before we give some more example. Right, placing a personal pronoun after a demonstrative pronoun in the above scenario conveys the definite what do I say there? The meaning of this is. For example, هذا هو الولد will exclusively mean this is the boy rather than this boy is. Clear? If you were to put huwa in the middle between the hadha and the walad, is going to make it specific, make the meaning specific to mean this is. This is what you call this here the damir al-fasl, the pronoun of specificity. What? Right, but you understand, right? Of making fasl. You know fasl? Hada yawmul fasl. The day when everything going to be sorted out. Right? So when you put huwa, it sort it out and make it specific. That this is what you mean. Before we give some more example, adhan, and then we're going to give some more example.
This is the diligent boy from Makkah.
Hmm?
This is the diligent boy from Makkah.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Hayya 'alas salah. Hayya 'alas salah. Hayya 'alal falah. Hayya 'alal falah. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah.
All right. Okay. So let me break this down some more. the bottom line is when you see any of the demonstrative pronoun with the alif and lam, know that it can mean this or this is. Right? Now, figuring it out, as you gain experience with the language, you're going to figure it out fast without thinking. Right? You're going to figure it out fast without thinking. Especially when you're going to be reading or listening within a context. Everything going to synchronize automatically. You don't have to think about it. But in the beginning, you just want to know it so you don't get confused. Sometimes you see this, sometimes you see this is. Right? One time I was in an Arabic class. This was before I went studying. And the students were arguing with the teacher. Because the teacher is teaching them hadha means this is, al-walad means the by. And then he's saying this by. Right? And the students say, you're saying hadha means this is, al-walad is by. So it's got to be this is the by. And one of the students get upset. Well, he was older than the teacher. Right? But if he explain it, break it down, it would have been clear. So let's break it down. We have hadha means this, right? Is. And remember the is if you need it, because is not in Arabic. And then you have al-walad. By itself means the boy, right? So let's start with the basic. We have hadha al-walad. Can mean this is the boy. Full stop. Clear? Also it can mean what? This boy. Right? Is. Now the is going to be if you need it. Right? If you need it. This boy is. Two possible meaning. Now if you say hadha huwa al-walad, gonna only mean what? This is the boy. Right? Clear? Can't get clearer than that. Right? Hadha al-walad, this is the boy, this boy is. Hadha huwa al-walad, only this is the boy. Huwa doesn't mean is. Right? Huwa doesn't mean is. Remember, is doesn't exist. But what is the purpose of huwa? Damir fasl. Now, what's the difference with the grammar? Why they call it the pronoun of specifying that this is what you meant? When you say this by, this whole thing here is a subject. This by, what about this by? The sentence incomplete. You're still waiting for the predicate. Clear? You're still waiting for the information about this by. Clear? I said this by, it has come in this by. This by what? Sentence incomplete. So that's just the subject. What's the information about this by? Compared to here, this is the by, this is the subject, and this is the the predicate, right? This is, you're pointing to this is, and then you're informing about what this is. This is the by, whoever by you are talking about. Clear? Now when you put this huwa, you're making a clear distinction between the subject and the predicate, so you don't mix them up or think that they're part of one. You understand? You're making a clear distinction between the subject and the predicate. That this is a subject and this is the information about the subject. That's why they call it the pronoun, to make it decisive or specific. Damir al-fasl. Call it Damir al-fasl. Right? The main thing is you understand the concept. So if I add al-mujtahid, let's put another word, al-tawil. What's tawil? Here you're going to be tall, right? So it can mean this is the tall boy, right? هذا الولد الطويل. This is the tall boy. Right? This is the tall boy. And it can mean this boy is the tall. But that's going to be unlikely. There are certain contexts where it might be possible. But in this, like this here, is very unlikely. Right? Now, if you want to say this boy is tall, remember now, it's not adjective anymore. This boy is tall, remember, it's not adjective. So what you got to do, take out the alif and lam. هذا الولد طويل. This boy is tall. هذا الولد طويل. This boy is tall. Yeah, because in here now, here it can't be, this is the boy tall. That translation won't be, right? It will be, this boy is tall.
We identified it before as a tall boy because of alif and lam and
Yeah, because if everything matches, remember, if everything matches, it's going to be it's possible to be noun and adjective. Most likely it's going to be noun and adjective. Now we're going to write a set of sentence side by side and translate it. So you're going to get, let me see if they have examples here. Okay, no, we don't have it. All right, so we're going to, huh? Oh, I didn't send out, I forget. But it does, just go on, what do you call it? It's on live, but I just forget to send out the link. But if you go to the channel, anyone needs make wudu, prepare for salah? You? Okay, so let me take a few sentences. Now, for the few sentences, what I'm going to do, so it don't be too confusing, we're just going to stick to what's normally used. Right? If you remember the possible meaning, alhamdulillah. So if you come across it, you don't get confused. But we're going to give a set of sentences with what's regularly used. So let's start with the basic. So let's say هذه 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 طبيبة. Right? This is a doctor. Right? Female doctor. Where's a female doctor in English? Doctress? No, nurse is the next profession. Right? And you have هذه الطبيبة. Right? هذه الطبيبة. So هذه الطبيبة as a full sentence gonna mean this is the doctor. As a full sentence, right? You see a sentence, full stop, there's the only meaning. Okay, you say this doctor, sentence incomplete, right? هذه الطبيبة. هذه هي الطبيبة. Gonna mean what? Same thing, right? Clear? Right? Yeah, but this one more specific. But why we know this is the case here, sentence stop. Right? The sentence stop. That's why I say when you get used to it, you don't have to think too much. Right? The sentence stop like that is only one meaning. This is the doctor. All right, let me pause it. We're going to continue after the Salah, inshallah, at 5:30. So let's start. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. So we continue with some more examples to make this clear. So we have هذه طبيبة. This is a doctor. هذه الطبيبة. Right? هذه الطبيبة. This is the doctor. هذه هي الطبيبة. This is the doctor. Now, هذه الطبيبة can mean this doctor, but not in this context. Why? Because sentence finish, full stop. هذه هذه الطبيبة ماهرة. What's ماهرة? Huh?
Is that something to do with rivers?
Huh?
Is that something to do with rivers?
Have something to do with who?
Rivers.
Rivers? No, there's rivers is nahar. Mahira means skillful. Right? Mahira means skillful. So this is going to mean this doctor is skillful. Right? This doctor is skillful. Can mean this is the doctor. Right? This doctor is skillful. Now, see here is not matching. So it's not noun and adjective. Right? Everything is not matching. Now if you say, هذه الطبيبة الماهرة Now if I put a full stop here, هذه الطبيبة الماهرة, what is it going to mean? Right? This is the skillful doctor. This is the skillful doctor. This is the skillful doctor. Right? Full stop. Now if I say هذه الطبيبة طبيبة الماهرة let me say من من اليابان. What are you going to mean? Right? This skillful doctor is from Japan. Right? This skillful doctor is from Japan. Right? Now, what is the other possible meaning? Right? The other possible meaning is, this is the skillful doctor from Japan. Now, when is going to has the meaning? Give me a context when that meaning can apply. Right? Yeah, you got to be talking about a skillful doctor before. And then you're going to say, this is the skillful doctor from Japan. You got to be talking about a skillful doctor from Japan before. So now you're just pointing who is the skillful doctor from Japan that you were talking about. This is the skillful doctor from Japan. Right? Again, the basic, when you see هذه with alif and lam, هذا with alif and lam, can mean this, straight to the noun, or this is, and then you have the noun. Now, figuring out the meaning, you're going to need some time, right, before it start come to you fast. If you're getting it fast, alhamdulillah. Right? Other than that, just give it some time and understand that there is these two possible meaning. Now, for the last one, this skillful doctor is from Japan. If you want to make it clear that you're saying this is the skillful doctor from Japan, what are you going to say? هذه here. Right? If it's هذه, you're going to use here. If it's هذا, you're going to use هو. Right? هذه هي الطبيبة الماهرة من اليابان. Right? Japan has alif and lam in Arabic. Right? Is al-Yaban, right? Al-Yabani. The al-Yabani going to be Japanese. With the ya. Right? Clear? Any questions? Now this damir al-fasl, where we mentioned, it can be used in other situations. It's present in the Quran also. Okay. Now homework for this lesson here. Find examples of demonstrative pronouns followed by definite words in the Quran, right? And write the meaning too. Right? You got to write the meaning. Clear? Easy homework. Huh? How many examples? How much you need? 5 to 10. Which one? 5 or 10? 10, 10. The more you read it, the more you come across, the more you figure it out. If you do 20 by yourself, I can check all 20. 10, at least 10. Right? It's going to aid in understanding it. Now, one general suggestion, and it helps a lot. Now, you have a lot of raw information. Right? You can't apply this at the moment. So what you got to do when you are like when you read in the Quran every now and again, memorizing, use a word for word translation and go through the meaning. Right? Go through the meaning, and it's going to help you to realize where these rules are being used. And once you realize it once, believe me, the meaning going to stick with you. Right? Yeah, the homework, 10 examples of demonstrative pronouns followed by a definite word in the Quran. Right? You write in the meaning and the Arabic. No, it don't have to be for tomorrow. At least by Monday. Inshallah. Okay. Let's continue from the book. Showing possession or attribution by means of compounded phrases, part 2. Right? Before we discussed how possession or attribution can be expressed by combining two words into a single phrase, such as Rasulullah, the messenger of Allah. Right? And this construction is known as al-mudaf wal-mudaf ilay. Right? The construction of al-mudaf wal-mudaf ilay. The main thing, understand the concept, right? The terminology, not important at the moment. Al-mudaf wal-mudaf ilay. Now the first word is normally the mudaf. The first word is the mudaf, and the second word is al-mudaf ilay. Right? The second word is al-mudaf ilay. Now a benefit. If you understand the benefit, alhamdulillah. If you don't understand, move on. Don't worry. Why is it the first word it doesn't take alif and lam? Why is it the first word doesn't take alif and lam?
The da is for context. The da is context.
It never takes alif and lam, no matter what the context is. Why?
Doesn't grammatically make sense. English,
Forget about the English, talking Arabic. In English, you can translate it anyhow. Right? For example, Kitabu al-Mudarrisi. Kitabu al-Mudarrisi. the book of the teacher's book, book of the teacher, all going to mean the same. Book of the teacher, the book of the teacher, right? The teacher's book. Whether you put the before the book or not, the meaning is one. But why you don't put alif and lam in Arabic? Now, what's the purpose of al-mudaf wal-mudaf ilay? Remember, it's an attribution that normally shows possession, but it can show other than possession. Right? It can show possession or it can show specification. All right? For example, the book of the teacher, that's showing possession. The teacher owned the book. Right? Now, like in a classroom, if I say this is the chair of Muhammad, he doesn't own the chair, but it's showing that that is his seat. That's his, right? The seat is specific for him. Right? What's the purpose of al? The purpose of al is to make something that is indefinite, definite. You know what you're talking about. I say a car, you don't know what I'm talking about. Which car? When I say the car, you're going to know what I'm talking about, right? The car. The context is going to show that it's a specific car I'm talking about. Right? Now, the mudaf al-mudaf ilay does the same thing. Remember, it shows specification. If I say a book, it does, you don't know which book I'm talking about. But when I say the book of the teacher, now you know which book I'm talking about. Understand? So this construction technically makes something definite that was not indefinite. So that's why you don't put two signs of definiteness on the same word. Because this construction itself is a sign of definiteness. Book of the teacher. The second word can take alif and lam because the second word is what you're attributing it to. The word that is really indefinite is the first word, book. You want to make it specific or attribute it to something, book of the teacher, book of Muhammad, right? So the first word is what you're making specific after it was not specific. So you're not going to put two signs of making it specific. You don't need two signs for it. Right? So if you say book of the teacher, you don't want to put alif and lam. It's already definite. Clear? If it's not clear, don't worry. When you do advanced Arabic, you're going to do it again and it's going to click sometime in life, inshallah. Once you don't give up. Now, in this section, we'll examine some meanings and indication of this construction. All of these things are normally badihi. They're normally, what do you call it? Obvious. The meaning is obvious, or the meaning is, what's another word looking for? Like it's, huh?
Right there.
No, it's kind of like, you're going to figure out the meaning from the general, from the word itself. You don't really need no advanced knowledge. It's things that are obvious, things that are, what's the word I'm looking for? Huh? You're going to know what I'm talking about just now. Huh? Like kind of common sense kind of things. Huh? All right, what do you say? What? You're going to understand what I mean. For example, the first two meaning I give, right? The book of Muhammad showing what? Possession, right? How you know it's showing possession? You need to study anything technical? No, right? The meaning is showing possession. Now I say the chair of Muhammad in the context of classroom, you know it's not showing possession, right? Because the context, the chair belongs to the school and it's Muhammad sitting in the chair. What he meant is that it's showing specification. How you know when it's showing possession and when it's showing specification is going to be obvious from the context, right? It's going to be obvious to, we logical. So most of these things we are going through is from that angle. But being conscious of it can aid you with regards to the tafsir of the Quran. That's why you mention it. Being conscious of it can aid you with regards to the tafsir of the Quran, and also aid you with regards to understanding the many possible meaning of a verse. So when you read it in the tafsir, you're not confused where he get this from, where he get that from. When we go through, it's going to become clear. Attribution of ownership, right? This we discussed a lot, right? Kitabu Muhammad, Muhammad's book, the book of Muhammad. It shows that Muhammad owns the book, possesses the book. Attribution to time, place, or time, it is the time or the place of an event. Some of these are not used in English, but is used in Arabic. So for example, he says Salatul Maghrib, meaning the prayer of the sunset. That's the literal meaning, the prayer of the sunset. The prayer belongs to the sunset? No, what is attributing? You're attributing the prayer to the place when it's happening. To the time, sorry, the time that it's happening. Right? Salatul Maghrib, the prayer of the sunset, meaning the prayer that takes place when the sun sets. Right? Adhabul Qabr, the punishment of the grave. Right? The punishment that is going to happen and takes place in the grave. Right? Place and time. For Adhabul Qabr, place and time. Right? Salatul Maghrib, time. Attribution to the doer of the action or the verb. For example, you say Nasrullah, the help of Allah, meaning the help that is coming from Allah. There's no ownership really here, right? It's showing action, right? We're going to get the help of Allah, meaning Allah is the one who's going to aid us. Attribution to the object, It'amul Miskin, right? The feeding of the poor. The feeding of the poor. Are the poor doing the feeding? No, they are the one being fed. Right? So you don't confuse yourself. Right? Now, when you say Nasrullah, the second word is the one who is doing the action. It'amul Miskin, the second word here is the one the action is being done upon. Same construction. Right? But that's why, like I said, in these in these examples, the meaning is obvious. But sometimes the meaning can be a little bit ambiguous. Now, if you are not conscious that all of these meanings are possible, what is going to happen? You're going to use an example in your head and apply it. For example, let's say you're only thinking about Nasrullah, right? The help of Allah. So the second word is the one who is doing the help, right? The one who is doing the action, right? And then I say, It'amul Al-Ghani. It'amul Ghani. Feeding of the rich. Right? You might think the only possible meaning is, what is meant is that the rich is the one doing the feeding. But it could be possible that the rich is being fed also. Right? Because the fact that the rich has money doesn't negate that they can feed others and they can also be fed. Compared to poor, more likely, because they're poor, right, they're not going to be affording to feed. So what you meant is that you're feeding the poor. Right, and we're going to show an example where both can be possible, the meaning.
So how do you know which one is which?
The context, that is the general way, and also sometimes both is applicable. When it comes to the Quran, right, it's not for us to apply these rulings, but it's to understand it when it's being applied. So when you read tafsir and see some scholars say this meaning and you see some scholars say that meaning, you understand now where they're coming from, right? How they get these meanings. Bab, attribution to the made or the material of something. So for example, you say Babu Hadidin. Now the door of iron, right? The door of iron. Now with like this example, you can't translate the iron's door, right? It's not gonna, in English, not gonna work. So you gotta use the of. In all of these, you always use the of, you're gonna be safe. Because the apostrophe S not gonna work all the time, right? The door of, let me finish off and then. The door of iron, this expression is correct in Arabic. What is meant? The iron owned the door? No. Right? The iron is made of, the door is made of iron. Right? Attribution to a description. Rajulu ilmin. A man of knowledge. Right? The knowledge owned the man? No. The man has knowledge. A man possesses knowledge. A man of knowledge. Right? Kitab al-Tafsir, the book of Tafsir, right? Describing the type of book. It's a book of Tafsir. Right? At times, these formation may yield multiple interpretations simultaneously. The context will dictate which meaning is suitable. For example, aklu samak. Right? Now look at this here. Right? Aklu samak. Akl means eat or eating, the act of eating. So aklu samak, eating of the fish, can refer to the fish eating, or it can refer to you eating the fish. You understand? Aklu samak, eating of the fish. Are you attributing the action to its doer, or are you attributing it to its object? Right? Like Nasrullah, you're attributing it to its doer. It'amul miskin, you're attributing it to the object. Now, aklu samak, are you attributing it to the doer? If we use, for example, aklul qirsh. Qirsh is shark, the eating of the shark. It could be that we're describing how shark eats, right? Or it could be we're talking about eating the shark, right? Can be both, right? The context is gonna let you know which one you are referring to. So, for example, you're watching a documentary and the sharks in front of you eating other fishes, and they're talking about aklus qirsh, right, means shark. Obviously, where they're attributing the verb to the doer. Now you're in a restaurant and a butcher is chopping up the shark and baking it, and you're talking about aklul qirsh. There is going to mean you're talking about you eating the shark. You understand? Same construction, two possible meaning. That's why being conscious of the usage is important, so you don't get confused with the meaning. Rather, sometimes it's possible that multiple meanings be intended together. For example, dhikrullahi akbar. Now, dhikr means what? Remembrance, right? Or mentioning. Dhikr can mean remembrance or mentioning. Now, when you say dhikrullah, the mentioning of Allah, the remembrance of Allah is greater. You remembering Allah or you mentioning Allah, if you use the word mentioning, is going to be better here. You mentioning Allah or Allah mentioning you? Which one? Because both happens, right? We mention Allah and Allah mention those who He loved to the angels. So when you say dhikrullahi akbar, the remembrance or the mentioning of Allah is the greatest thing, right? It can mean that when you are doing the dhikr of Allah, that's the best thing you can be busy with. And when Allah mention you amongst the angels, that's the best thing that can happen to you. Understand? So both meaning are correct. Both meaning are correct. Right? Possessive pronouns in Arabic are actually from al-mudaf ilay. Now this is something, just note it, right? Possessive pronouns, like your book, my book, your pen, my pen, his house. Those are all from this mudaf ilay. So the word kitabuka that we translate to mean your book is literally the book of yours. More accurate translation gonna be the book of yours. But we don't speak like that in English. You don't say the book of mine normally, right? My book. Unless you want to do some form of emphasis, right? Then you're gonna use it like that. But in Arabic, there is no my book you can say. It's the book of mine. The book of yours. There is no your book in Arabic. There is the book of yours. I'm talking about the structure. The structure. This is the literal meaning. And knowing this is going to help you with other grammar rulings. Knowing this, you might look like, oh, what is the point of this? The same meaning. No, but it's understanding is going to help you with other grammar that we may study and you're going to study if you continue grammar. So all of these possessive pronouns, qalami is book of mine, the pen of mine, right? Baiti, the house of mine. Baituhum, the house of theirs, right? Any example, right? Like that. We did some in the. We had a chapter like that, right? Yeah, if you go back to page 18, so you see where they have Allahu Rabbi. Allah is my Lord, right? Literally, the meaning is the Lord of mine, right? Rabbuhu, the Lord of his. Rabbuha, the Lord, Rabbuhum, the Lord of hers, the Lord of him. That's the literal meaning with regards to the structure. But obviously, you're going to translate it to what is suitable in Arabic. In English.
How can we strengthen these?
How?
Can we strengthen
How you can strengthen them?
yeah,
What do you mean?
like make them more like not right now you're strong with the only Kitab Muhammadin, you're not strong with the like when using a verb or using a
You mean you mastering the understanding of it?
yeah, how can
You're trying to figure out when it's going to be like attribution to a description, attribution to the doer, attribution to the object. That is what you're talking about. How to figure it out?
yeah.
The context is going to help. The context. Right now, you're looking at the individual example, and you're thinking about it out of the context. When you read and you study them, it's going to become clear. So don't worry about that. Right now, it's just to understand that these are possible meanings. Any other question regarding this? And like I mentioned before, right? Generally, with grammar, you're gonna get things that's not gonna digest at the moment, right? You're not gonna understand it at the moment. That's why you need to constantly review, and just keep studying. Keep studying. If you don't understand a principle today, you might understand it next year. But if you don't keep studying, you will never understand it. Right? So it's not a must that you gotta understand every single thing at the moment. Don't make that demotivate you or hold you back from progressing. And like I mentioned, the points in the beginning, memorize, right, 1 to 3 words every day. Listen to Arabic every day, and have something that you're constantly reading. And once you do that, you're going to build on your language naturally. With the grammar, right, that's going to come. And sometimes it comes, you understand an entire grammar book. But if you're not busy yourself with the language from like a teaching perspective, or you're not reading books like tafsir or books that are using grammar, you might even forget all the grammar, but you're not going to forget the language. Like English, right? Everybody study English grammar, right? The most of the graduates, they forget everything but English grammar. Ask them predicate, subject, adverb, right? What is an adverb?
It's like a word that describes a verb.
Sure? Okay, you get it right. Right? Most people, they forget these things, but you don't forget the practical aspect of the language. So don't worry about these here too much if it's not being digested, but you got to do constant revision and keep studying. All right, let me finish off the book, the chapter, sorry. Study the following examples from the Quran. Right? قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ مَلِكِ النَّاسِ إِلَهِ النَّاسِ. These are all mudaf wal mudaf ilay. Say, أعوذ, I seek refuge, be with Rabb, Lord of mankind. Right? Rabbin Nas. First word, no alif and lam, single vowel. Rabbin Nas, Lord of mankind. Malikin Nas, king of mankind. Ilahin nas. Right? God of mankind. وَلَا يَحُضُّ عَلَى طَعَامِ الْمِسْكِينِ. Wala is negation. Yahuddu is to encourage. Hadda yahuddu is to encourage or motivate. Right? La yahuddu, he does not encourage upon the feeding of the poor. He does not encourage upon the feeding of the poor. Now here the poor is what? The poor is the object. Right? It's not that he's not encouraging the poor to feed others. No. He's not encouraging those who have the ability to feed the poor. Right? So here is an attribution to the object. How you know? The meaning. Right? Nothing technical. Now, ta'am can mean food and it can mean the feeding. It can mean food and it can mean it'am. Right? Here it means it'am, meaning the action of feeding. Alam tara kayfa fa'ala rabbuka bi ashabil fil. Right? A is for question. Lam tara means you didn't see. Lam tara, you didn't see. Negating the verb in the past. Right? Kaifa is how. Fa'ala, did. Rabbuka, your Lord. Right? Be with. Ashab is companions. Al-fil, elephant. Ashab, al-fil, companions of the elephant. Here we have the mudaf al-mudaf ilay. So if we leave out the a, lam tara kayfa fa'ala rabbuka bi ashabil fil means you didn't see how your Lord dealt with the companions of the elephant. A makes it a question. Alam tara. Right? Haven't you seen? Inna batsha rabbika la shadid. Now here we have 3 or 4 things that we study. Inna is emphasis. The word after inna takes fatha. Inna batsha. Then you have mudaf and mudaf ilay here. Right? Batsha rabbi. The rabbika. Right? The punishment or the grasping of your Lord. Shadid is severe. And this lam is for emphasis. Right? La shadid. Now if you take out the inna out of the Quran, then this lam going to be in the beginning. La batshu rabbika shadid. Now batsh by itself means grasping something. Like when you take something severely. When you batasha something, right, you seize it. You capture it. Right? Now it's referred to in the Quran when you say the batsh of Allah, his grasping. When he sees a group of people and he sees a people. Referring to the punishment, right? When he sees them with a punishment. Like in Surah Al-An'am, am lahum aydi yabtishuna biha. Do they have aydi, hands, yabtishun, that they are seizing with? Right? These idols that they are worshipping, they don't even have hands that they can grasp with and grab things with. Right? يَبْطِشُونَ بِهَا. ذَلِكَ دِينُ الْقَيِّمَةِ. That is the religion of uprightness. Here is an attribution to the characteristics, the description. Right? A lot of time they translated that is the upright religion. Now if you translate it that is the upright religion, you're using what? Noun and adjective translation. But that is not going to be accurate to match the wording in Arabic, right? But now that you know the wording in Arabic and you know the usage of the construction, that the construction can be used to attribute something to its description, you understand it better. ذَلِكَ دِينُ الْقَيِّمَةِ. That is the religion of uprightness. وَيَقُولُونَ مَتَى هَذَا الْوَعْدِ. Now here's some example with the demonstrative pronoun. وَيَقُولُونَ, and they are saying, mata, when, هَذَا is this, al-wa'd is the promise. So is it that they are saying when this is the promise, or when is this promise, right? They're saying when is this promise. When is this promise. When this promise, is nadi, right? When this promise. Which promise? The promise that the Prophet ﷺ is giving him about and the Quran, about the resurrection. So هذا الوعد is not this is the promise, is this promise, right? هذه النار التي كنتم بها تكذبون. Right? This is in which surah? Many surahs, right? It is more than one play. هذه النار كنتم به تكذبون كنتم به in surah Tur. Where is it? Same thing, right? Here هذه النار, this is the fire التي which kuntum. Now kuntum is the plural second person for kana. Kana he was, kuntum you were. Kuntum you were. Kana he was or it was, kuntum you were. Biha of it, tukadhibun denying. So this is the fire which you were of it denying, meaning which you are denying it. This is the fire. Here it's not going to be this fire, right? This fire, because if you say this fire which you are denying, the sentence incomplete. This fire which you are denying, what about it? Sentence incomplete. So here, this is the fire. This is the fire. إنما هذه الحياة الدنيا متاع. إنما, what is إنما? Right? Indeed, surely, nothing but, right? You went through إنما. Verily, هذه الحياة الدنيا. This worldly life is nothing but mata', an enjoyment, a temporary provision. So if we focus on the red, هذه الحياة الدنيا, it can mean this is the worldly life, or it can mean this worldly life, right? It can mean this is the worldly life, and it can mean this worldly life. Now we have another predicate here, so it's going to necessitate that it means this worldly life. This worldly life is nothing but a temporary enjoyment or provision. Compared to say this is the worldly life is a enjoyment. The meaning are gonna synchronize. هذه الحياة الدنيا متاع. This worldly life is a temporary enjoyment. ذلك الفوز الكبير. ذلك is that. الفوز is a reward or victory. Fawz is what? Reward or victory. Right? Victory more precise. Al-Kabir is great. So two possible meaning. ذَلِكَ الْفَوْزُ الْكَبِيرُ with a full stop, it can only have one meaning. That is the great reward. Because if you say that reward or that great reward, what's going to happen? Sentence incomplete. So you got to be that is the great reward. That is the great reward. Clear? Okay, you can skip this one. Too easy. So we have so the homework, right? To find examples with the demonstrative pronouns with alif and lam in the Quran. Any questions? Anything to review, go over again, whether today or before? Right? And remember, prepare for exams always. Now, what exam? What do you mean, what exam? No, exam, everything that we study.
For the video, do you want us to write
write down the transcript and translate it?
Like, what's
Hmm?
what?
No, no, the video, just listen right now. You just listen.
Is the
For those just right now, just listen. Is the question I send in the group? There is, I just want to get an idea from people how they understanding it. How do you say demonstrative pronoun in Arabic? Demonstrative pronoun in Arabic is asma'ul ishara. Asma'ul ishara. That's demonstrative pronoun in Arabic. Asma'ul ishara. From ishara means like to point or indicate. The nouns of pointing or indicating. Right? Asma'ul ishara. Asma'ul ishara. We have, okay, we're going to review. We're going to skip the conversation today. Now, previously, we studied the doer form. Everybody remember? All right? Like, doer form of three-letter verbs. We say kafir. Put it on this shape or this scale. Right? Alif after the first letter. Put a kasra on the second root letter, and it's a noun, so the end gonna be tanween dhamma by default, and it can change. Right? Everybody remember that? Huh? Then we did how to form the doer for other than three-letter verbs. How you form it? Right? If the verb is not three-letter, put the verb in the present tense. Right? So for example, you have the verb adhana. What's the meaning of adhana? Right? He made adhan. Adhana, he made adhan, he did adhan, he called adhan. Now what's the present tense for adhana? Adhana yu'adhinu. Adhana yu'adhinu. Right? Hamza, generally when it comes in the middle of the sentence, you look at the vowel over it or the vowel before it, and you put it on the letter representing the strongest of the two vowels. Understand? Adhana yu'adhinu. So you say you put the present tense. And then what you do? Take out a ya and add mim with a dhamma. So you get mu'adhinun. Right? And make sure that the second to last letter has kasra. Right? So to form the doer of anything apart from the three-letter verbs, make sure you have a mim with a dhamma before and kasra on the second to last. If you write a stroke under the shadda, it's a kasra. Over the shadda is a fatha. Right? Everybody know that, right? So, adhana, the person who call adhan, you call him mu'adhin. Right? What's the meaning of jahada? Jahada, to struggle, to fight, right? Any form of struggling, right? From to do jihad. Jahada, to do jihad. What's the present tense for jahada? Jahada yujahidu. Jahada yujahidu. So that's the present tense. For now, you're just learning everything as it is, right? But there is pattern. You're gonna get used to it. Jahada yujahidu. So the door, right? You take out the ya, mujah, and make sure that there's a kasra on the second to last, mujahid, right? Now, you might ask why I just don't add the meme here. Add the meme and make this kasra. Skip out the middle one, right? You can do that, but it's not the principle. You're gonna come up some examples. If you do that, it's not gonna work. So that's why they give you these 3 steps. But as for what do you call it? For a fast solution, most of the time it's gonna work. Most of the time, it's going to work. And we mentioned what else? We mentioned another principle with regards to the door. Who remember? Hmm? Who remember? We mentioned something with the Arabic door. You know, we said the Arabic door can use in the place of a verb. So you can say Muhammad mu'adhinun al-an. Where is it going to be? Muhammad is calling the adhan now. Right? Muhammad yu'adhinu al-an. Muhammad mu'adhinun al-an. Right? The context. Because you're talking about something happening right now. Now, if I say Muhammad mu'adhinun, what is it going to mean?
Doesn't it mean Muhammad Mu'adhin, like he's a Mu'adhin?
Right? If you say Muhammad mu'adhinun, Muhammad is a mu'adhin. Muhammad is a mu'adhin. Now note all the doer forms, right? All the doer forms. They can be a noun or adjective. Let's note. All the doer forms of verbs, they can be a noun, it can be an adjective, and generally they can act as verbs. Right? This have conditions. With regards to noun and adjective, like regular words in the sentence, if it's matching or it's not matching, you're going to determine whether it's a regular noun or adjective. This here clear, digested? Hmm? Huh? Everybody clear, digest. Right? Now we're going to throw a next thing now on you. Scales. Scales. We have 4 minutes to introduce scales. What is meant by scales? Right? Yeah, but scales in the context of the Arabic grammar. Now, to be more specific, the study scales under, they don't really come under grammar, nahu. They come under what you call sarf, studying the structure of words, like what we're doing here. Right? This is not really grammar, it's more sarf, studying the word structure. Right? There's no grammar associated with it. Now in Arabic, to make the word structure easy, they scale everything under fa, ain, and lam. They scale everything under fa, ain, and lam. So fa represents, this is the first root letter. This is the second root letter. And this is the third root letter. Right? Show you how to apply it. So, they say for 3-letter verbs, the doer is on the scale fa'il. On the scale fa'il for the 3-letter verbs. Right? The when we finish. For the 3-letter verbs, the doer is on the scale fa'il. So what is going to mean? So we had take a 3-letter verb. Qatala. Qatala means he killed. Now you want to form the doer, killer. Put it on the scale fa'il. So remember the fa is the first root letter. So first the root letter there is qaf. Right? Now you have an alif. You add the alif. The extra things you see in the scale, you just add it. Now fatha on the first root letter, you put fatha. Then you have ain here. Second root letter is the ta. And then lam. Right? The ain has a kasra. So it becomes qatil. Right? So you put same thing, read it, kafara. Right? This is the first, second, third. So the first one gotta be under with the fa, right? Ka, add the alif. Kafir. Now if I say, now this, everybody, write this one quick in your book. Right? We have this is to form the doer. To form the object. To form the object, you put it on the scale maf'ul, on the scale of maf'ul. Mim, fa, ain, waw, lam, the tashkil, fatha, sukun, dhamma, sukun, right? Maf'ul. So here we have mim is extra because the fa is the first root letter, ain second root letter, the waw extra, and the lam is the third root letter, right? To form the object of the verb. Now form the object for qatala. Now remember, you have to match the additional letters that are not from the root, you put them back as they are in the scale with the vowels, right? So do that. You get 10 seconds, right? 10 seconds. Done? Right, so where you're supposed to get is, so the meme is now root, right? So the meme come back, that's extra. The fa is a root representing the qaf. So put back the meme, fa representing the qaf, sukun on it. Ain representing here the ta, waw is extra, you put it back, right? And the lam, right? Well, the lam representing the lam, so you get maqtul, right? You get maqtul. That is what you're supposed to get. If you get that, you get a basic understanding of how the scales work. Now let me give you the random example and we end the class with this, inshallah. 1 minute. So we had the word kataba. Kataba means he wrote. The writer is katib, and the thing that has been written gonna be the maktub, right? Now the same thing we mentioned here. It can be a noun or it can be a adjective. It can be a noun or it can be an adjective. The context, right? If I ask, halil wajib maktub, right? You tell me you did the wajib. The wajib means homework. I say, hal al-wajib maktub. Is the homework written? Right? Is the homework written? Understand? It can be an adjective or a noun. Right? Dhakara means what? Dhakara means he remember. Right? The person who is doing the remember is dhakir. And the thing that is being remembered is the madhkur. Right? And if you use mention, the mentioner and the madhkur is the thing that is being mentioned. The thing that is being mentioned. Hal anta madhkur, right? Are you mentioned? You have the word nasara means what? Help. The person who helped, nasir, the helper. And those who are helped, they are mansur. Right? And like I mentioned, this science, the sarf, it helps fast forward your understanding of the language. And also you get accustomed to reading without vowels. Once you see this shape, you know what the vowel is going to be. Generally, it's going to be the same vowel in, right? All from this scale. So Nasir is the helper, Mansur, they are the one being helped. Right? Nahnu Mansur min Allah. We are helped from Allah. Right? You have the word Fataha means what? He opened. The one who opened is the Fatih. And the thing being opened is the Maftuh. Right? Al-Bab Maftuh. The door is opened. Right? The door is open. Ghadiba means what? Ghadiba, he was angry. The one who is angry, Ghadib, right? The one who is angry. The doer, the one who's angry, Ghadib, right? Ghadban is another word, but it's not from this construction. And the one you angry over, upon, Maghdub, غير المغضوب, right? غير المغضوب, غاضب. So you have غاضب, right? I just fix Ali's writing right now. غاضب and مغضوب. غاضب and مغضوب. Right? Make sure you're writing properly. You have the word hafiz. Hafidha means he memorized or he preserved. The memorizer is the hafiz. And the thing that is being preserved or memorized is mahfuz. Mahfuz. Right? So if the teacher asks you, Kam mahfuzuk al-yawm? How much is your mahfuz today? Meaning how much did you memorize today? Al-lawh al-mahfuz. Right? The preserved lawh. The preserved lawh. Right? So that's it for today. With regard, this here for the fa'il and maf'ul is for the 3-letter verbs. And inshallah, we're going to give how you get it for the other than the 3-letter verbs. We did the doer. We're going to do the maf'ul, inshallah, for the object, for the other than the 3-letter verbs. You call it ism maf'ul. All of them you call ism fa'il or ism maf'ul, whether it's 2, whether it's 3 or more than 3 letters. Somebody can write out all these examples neatly, type it out or so, and share it, inshallah, just in case it's not clear for everybody. We officially finish. Anyone who wants to leave, they can leave. Any questions? We can take questions for 2 minutes, inshallah, and we finish off. Huh? You can shut down. You can shut them down. Yeah. Take. You guys finish out this. All right. So we end here, inshallah. Subhanakallahumma bihamdik wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.